binging. Where we binging. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Binge Society.
Yeah, well, that was an interesting way to start the show.
Very special episode today. I think you get a hint based on the masks. We're talking about the Joker.
I think so.
Yes, we are. So, yeah, looking forward to a great show today. We are going to be talking about Joker, the movie, which has sparked a lot of different opinions. So we're going to be giving our reviews. We're going to be talking about all the discussion that it's generated. We're going to start with the top of the show with some nerdy news and our signature banter on deck.
And as always, I'm Winston Brewington.
I'm Danny Bronner. What the fuck is so funny?
You wouldn't get it.
And if you don't get that, stop watching or stop listening to this episode. Go watch Joker the movie and come back when you can test me, bruh. All right, so who are you?
Oh, yeah, I'm Flappy. I thought that was obvious.
That was implied by the laugh? It's your
laugh.
signature laugh. It's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
All right, so how are we doing on this day, guys?
Yo, man.
Sorry, I'm a little behind today.
I'm doing good. Let's see. Oh, we went to Comic-Con.
Yeah, we did.
fun.
We went to Comic-Con last Thursday. What were your thoughts, Winston?
Yo, man, my first Comic-Con was actually a lot of fun. Enjoyed looking at all the art, meeting all the artists, looking at all the nerdy garb and pictures.
Oh, was there
everything.
nerdy garb on deck? Oh, my God.
Oh, there was tons of nerdy garb on deck.
Hey man, I got busy on some nerdy merch out there. It was pretty dope, man. I got a couple of T-shirts. I got some of those Funko Pop things. Oh yeah, it was dope.
Funko
and a
Pop.
couple of posters as well, and one really sick print. Hopefully you're following us on our story. I got this Rick and Morty, Morty as Thanos, based on that episode where he gets the huge arm with the fucking gauntlet on it. Oh my God, is that shit dope? So yeah,
dope.
shout out to New York Comic Con. Hopefully we'll be there next year for all 4 days. And hopefully, Yemi, we can get you there
Maybe
next
I'll
year.
just quit school and go.
That's what you should have done,
Jimmy's
man.
out here grinding, man.
I should have done that. That was so stupid. I'm like, I gotta go to class. But yeah, I was definitely FOMO.
FOMO, FOBLO, all the foes.
Yeah. What did I do? What has happened? We checking in, right?
Yeah,
I am
right.
off today, so just,
Yeah, man.
You okay, man?
Well, it's no longer Sober October for me, so that shit was.
So October's over already?
Oh, man.
You tapped out?
I couldn't.
Yeah, that's
out.
sober week.
That's
not bad.
You did pretty good.
I did a week, one solid week,
that's
and
cool.
that was good. It was good. But I had a big show on Sunday at the Stand. Shout out to Stand New York.
Cool.
And it was like a great set, man. I killed, and it was like really fun. Had a friend from Sweden visit me, and I was like, I'm gonna have a beer. I'm not gonna be like, I'm not drinking, because I have a soul. I was like, I'll just have some drinks. And then we had some more drinks, and then we went to another place, had more drinks. I was like, all right, fuck this Sober October shit.
Yeah, there that goes, man.
Yeah,
Shadows and dust.
Yeah,
And shout out to the Stand.
Yeah.
Thanks for booking me. Keep booking me. It's a great place. They invest in new comics, and it was an interesting show. It was like a regular show, and then there was a showcase, and there was like some heavy hitters in the regular show. But the audience, I swear to you, once the showcase started, there's something to be said about up and comers and people that are hungry in the game. No shade to the the vets, but when you're hungry, you could tell like they want those laughs. They're not just working out.
Yeah, man, that's what I was saying. We went to Lugerfest about a month ago. There were a lot of big comics there, but I kind of liked the up and comers a bit more because they had that hunger, man.
Yeah.
It's a intangible yet palpable difference that you can perceve, man.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into things because we want to spend a lot of
We
time
have
on the Joker. So let's get into
to do.
some.
First thing is some nerdy news.
It's time for Nerdy News with your host, Winston.
And we're back with some more nerdy news for you. Rick and Morty.
Yo, did you guys see the trailer?
I did see the trailer. I thought it was pretty fucking crazy.
What did you think about it, Danny?
I didn't see the trailer.
You didn't.
I
I'm
didn't
not
do my
gonna spoil
homework.
it. I'm not gonna spoil
man.
it. It's probably one of the
I
best
get an F
trailers
for the day.
It's probably one of the best trailers, and not because of the content, but because of the music. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, the music
Don't say
was
what
sick.
it is, because I was like, yeah, when I saw it.
No, you can go ahead. Go ahead, man.
It's
The fans want to know.
It's
Yeah.
justice.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Exactly.
What song?
It's like it's Genesis, and then it goes into Stress, I think.
Really?
Yeah, dude. When I saw that, I was in my room like,
Oh.
that's the type of thing I wish we could do reactions for. Because when I saw it, I was like, yo, like this.
Rick and Morty just knows how to tickle my tape,
They
baby.
know how to tickle the tape, man.
Yeah. So it drops November
Expert tape
10th.
tinglers.
drops November 10th.
Oh, man, that's
5
soon.
episodes.
Right.
5 episodes.
And there'll be more
But
coming.
they're going to take a break because
Yeah.
the way it lines up is going to be, an episode a week. They're going to take a break. So after Christmas, they're going to do 5. I think they did that for season 3 or season 2.
Okay,
They
so they're
tend
going to
to
do like a
that.
half-season sort of
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, cool.
They
I
tend
can
to
dig
troll
it.
their fans. So
Yeah.
well, not troll, but gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. Word. What's the next item, dude?
All right, moving on. PlayStation 5 officially announced.
Yo, bam, bam, bam. Okay, sorry. that deserves.
We
an
are
air
hyped.
horn, yo.
So
That-
what are the specs here? I didn't do my homework on this one either. So like what's the big like hook or what are they promising?
I don't know. I just feel like PlayStation 4. If it's okay, I think I was showing you this guy. These it's called Woogers. Is WOOJER. I think the next thing in gameplay is immersive gameplay, in my opinion, where you can feel. I'm gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy the strap and do a review of it because it seems it's for music. It's for music and primarily video gaming, from what I understand.
What is it though?
It's a haptic feedback band around your body. They have a vest and they have a band. So say you listen into beats. I guess the way they program it is like if you listen into something with heavy bass, you feel it.
So if you get a headshot, you get a.
No, you feel it. Like, and
Yeah.
I think, we're playing Apex Legends online. When you get in shot, you're like, oh shit, but you don't feel the immediacy. I think it's totally going to change gameplay if they start using immersive gameplay. I think they're going to lean into VR
man.
way more, which they should.
We're one step closer to cookies in the Matrix.
Yeah, man. And I think you're probably going to see some like next gen early adopter type technology, like maybe a whole room or something. Like I think they're going to go for it.
Hey man, but
Otherwise,
it might be one of those things that are overhyped, like Kinect or VR didn't really hit the ground running the way people thought. I mean, it's definitely cool, but like I can't imagine the sales are that good. So I'm just saying, I'm wondering how big of a thing it's going to be, if it ends up being a flop or no. Because at the end of the day, at worst case scenario, it's just going to be a new system with new technology. I think like the leaps of technology from generation to generation in video games is not as like mind blowing as it used to be. Like going from like PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 was a huge fucking jump.
Yeah,
And 2
it
to
was.
3 also a huge
Yeah.
jump. But like three to 4 was like okay, dope, but like didn't
wasn't
knock my
mind-blowing.
socks off or anything like that. So it definitely will be dope. I definitely will be spending half of $1,000 is about what it'll cost. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And
Get your bake
definitely
up.
looking forward to that. What else we got?
All right, so the last piece of news we're going to talk about real quick. Will Smith regrets not doing Matrix movie when he was offered it years and years ago.
He has regrets. Will Smith doesn't seem like a guy who has regrets.
You wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't regret him not doing it. You think he would have been better than Lawrence Fishburne? Fuck no.
Wait. I thought he was supposed to be Neo.
That's what I thought.
Oh, he's supposed to be Neo.
I think so. You racist.
Whoa. I guess that, I just got exposed. Yeah.
Well, I just said-
assumed it was.
It'd be the black character.
The black
Fuck,
guy
man.
gotta be the black
I'm a
guy.
monster. Holy
Anyway.
shit.
You're canceled.
Anyway,
Danny.
I just wanted to read this. This
Miles,
comes
get him out of here. Get the Gotham police.
get the Gotham police.
Yeah, by the scruff of my neck.
This comes via
Give me that scruff.
Movie Web during the premiere of the actor's latest sci-fi action film, Gemini Man, which deals with him battling his younger self. Will Smith was asked what advice he would give his younger self if he ever got the opportunity to travel back in time. And Will Smith had a simple response. He said, yeah, probably Wild Wild West. I go back to the Wild Wild West and I'd say, asshole, why didn't you do the Matrix?
Did he do it instead of The Matrix? Oh, God.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I had a good collab with, who was it, Casey or JoJo, one of those guys. Going straight to. That's enough of that. Anything else, or that does it for...
That,
news?
in fact, does it today for the nerdy news.
All right. It is time,
It's
you
time.
guys. It is time. We got into the review and our discussion of one of the most anticipated films of 2019, of the decade, of the entire history of humanity. I am not speaking in a hyperbole. Maybe I am a little bit. What are we talking about today?
Talking about
Binge of the week.
That is chilling, that laugh.
Ooh.
That
I
is
get
a
goosebumps.
chilling laugh, man.
Of course, we're talking about Joker, the movie directed by Todd Phillips. That was released to, critical acclaim at the Venice Film Festival.
You're right,
Oh, yeah,
man?
my God. We were getting...
I'm all right.
Hey, man. This is... You don't feel a little bit of aftershock after seeing that movie, man? I'm feeling a little
Dude,
uneasy.
we were talking about that movie during lunch at work around kids.
Yeah, man.
That movie, anytime, sorry, it's coming in hot. Hot take, live. Anytime a movie creates a discussion, it's a powerful movie. I don't care what the critics say, what anyone says. Like, the fact that we're still talking about it and debating about it. Like, when's the last time you saw a movie? Like, you see Avengers Endgame, you're not talking about, like, oh, what is the implications of, like, Iron Man?
we'll talk about like the implications of the story. That has a
yeah.
discussion, and for sure. But yeah, this has a much wider discussion that extends,
Huge.
which is perfect for this show because that's what we
Huge.
love to do.
Yeah.
So can't wait to get into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we'll just start with some
Listen to the
initial
podcast. I'm talking to people on the live.
reactions.
Yeah.
What are our initial reactions to this movie? What are some things that you like? What are some of the glows before we get into maybe some criticism, if there is any?
There are a
So-
bunch of criticisms.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bunch of criticism.
I personally enjoyed the movie. First of all, we saw it all together, so that was nice to
We
see
did.
it together
Yeah.
and get that energy.
That was dope. Yeah.
I think it was the first
Yeah.
time we
I'm sorry.
actually binged something as a unit.
As a binge, yeah.
As a
binge-
society.
As a
Yeah.
binge
As a
society
society,
together.
yeah. And it
Yes.
felt good.
It did.
I was hood as shit, bringing in pieces and beef patties.
That's right. That's right.
Recliners.
I had a bucket of popcorn.
You had a bucket. You
And
had a
soda.
trough. You had a trough.
It was great.
We killed it.
It was great. I
Killed
had
it.
I had stomach issues.
I had some seltzer.
That's right. I had some seltzer.
Some
I had a nice large
Because I was
seltzer.
trying to be
During
a
that
good
sober
boy.
October?
Yeah, that shit was dead in the water. I was like, you know what? I'm drinking tonight. Fuck it.
But off the top, I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. There were definitely some similarities to Taxi Driver if you're familiar with the Martin Scorsese film.
And you've
also,
seen that, right?
I have seen that. Also, King of Comedy. There's some plot points that are derivative of it, and the tone is very much something that was in Taxi Driver. If you see it, it's a very, very dark film, just like this is. It's a very, very dark film. But I thought the acting was great. Joaquin Phoenix was
Definitely Oscar.
Oh yeah, I think he's definitely gonna get nominated. Will he win? I don't know, but right now it's very, very divided because there's a lot of Oscar people, the crew of people who actually like vote for who should be nominated for Oscars. They're divided right now. They don't know if it's
The Academy,
worthy. The
as it
Academy,
were?
yes, the Academy, as it were, yes.
Award winners.
That is what it's called anyway. But yes, those are my initial thoughts. What did y'all think?
Well, I'm just a little bit distracted by Yemi making himself at home here. You're just like setting up.
I'm sorry. I'm sucking from the teat is what I call it when I plug in the baby iPhone to the mama iMac MacBook. So I'm sucking from her teat right now.
Circle of life. All
Circle
right,
of
I'm
life,
gonna
yeah.
move on from that as quick as possible. And yeah, I
Sucking on
really
the teat.
liked this film. I loved it. I would say, not perfect, but there's so much to love about this. From obviously Joaquin's performance, like you mentioned, from the shots. What are you doing?
Sorry.
Just some of the shots that the cinematography is absolutely incredible. The tone of the film, the messaging of the film, and of course the discussion that it generates, which we'll of course get into. And more than that, the score.
The score is
is a
amazing.
huge component of the movie in setting the tone because. In many ways, this is a tragic film in terms of how it follows Arthur Fleck in the negative situation he continually finds himself in, his struggle with mental health. But the music sort of helps set a proper tone that doesn't make him a fully sympathetic figure. And as we're following him, you really get the sense that like, all right, all of this is fucked up.
Yeah.
This man is going down.
Yeah, it was quite a ride.
The opening scene. Okay, sorry. Were you
Yeah,
done
no,
with
I was
that
gonna say,
point?
It's your turn.
Yeah,
It's my turn.
Yes.
The opening scene, that laugh. I don't know. Wipe out. It sounds like a wipe out. It was not that laugh. No, it was not that laugh. Play the laugh. That laugh. It because he used it as his regular laugh, but the scene where, spoiler alert, the scene where in the bus, that heartfelt scene where he's just talking to, like, he's not even talking to he's like making faces at the child, and the black woman's like, "Can you stop talking to my child?" And he's like, I'm not. I was like,
I'm not doing anything like wrong.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then he just starts laughing. I started laughing because I thought he was like laughing at her, but then the way he played it as an affliction that he can't, and he gave her the card, because sometimes you're on the bus or you on the train, someone gives you a card like I can't hear him.
Yeah, yep.
Like I was like, yo,
that's such a brilliant move.
I don't know if that was a directing thing or if they came up with it on the spot, but just the laugh was also its own character, because everyone that's like iconic Joker laugh. Like
and he had his different laughs, right? And
yeah, exactly.
I loved the plot device of having his laugh be part of what we found out to be I don't know if we need to hit him with the drop, but if you don't know at this point, we are doing a spoilers discussion.
No,
we're going in depth.
Yeah, no, okay.
All right, we're doing it or no? Okay.
Spoilers up ahead.
Spoilers,
a
man.
lot of spoilers up
so
ahead.
we're going to be unpacking scenes. We're going to be unpacking the big moments of this film. So,
spoiler alert. Oh, sorry. If you're listening on the feed, because I'm doing a live on my Instagram, there's a bunch of spoilers about the Joker. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. Otherwise, get the fuck out.
Get out of my feed.
Come back later.
Yes.
So, yeah, the use of that as a plot device, I loved. And so he had his uncontrollable laugh. That's his whole thing. And I guess it came from a traumatic brain injury. We can basically assume. They implied that it comes from brain injury. And we found out that he not only was he adopted, but he was sort of abused and allowed to be abused by his adoptive mother's lovers. So that's where it comes from. So he has his traumatic brain injury laugh, and then he has his other more maniacal laugh, which comes across as almost false in a way, right? Because he's walking away, he's got that signature.
He does it when he's with his buddies, right?
Yeah.
Or like when he's at the client, and
he
does it in a sarcastic
it's
way.
It's less visceral.
But there's a distinction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you must have been practicing that laugh for like months.
Yeah, he was practicing it for months. I mean, when he was in the phase where he was becoming Joker and he lost like 52 pounds, he was saying how like he would practice it, and it was like one of the hardest things that he's ever had to do as an actor was figuring out how to get like the perfect laugh that would make sense. And during the film also, I don't know if y'all noticed, but there'd be times when he would like laugh and then just like start coughing because it was like to show that he couldn't control it. Yeah, you'd kind of
and that's what it is. You really, especially, even if you're having a laugh out of like pure laughter, and you reach a point where you want to stop, and it's a little bit uncomfortable where you're like on that precipice, and especially if it's an affliction like that, you can really go past that point where it's really sort of visceral and almost like, please make this stop. Sort of situation. So there's that laugh, and then use it in other situations, like when he's at the comedy shows taking notes and he's laughing on like the wrong beats. He's not laughing along with everyone else.
Yeah,
it shows
that
sort of like
I was laughing at that.
His inability to sort of read social cues. I guess like you could call it sort of like it's something typical of like a spectrum disorder, which we've spoken about on the show before. So I love the way they did that.
Yeah. No.
What about you, Len? What did you feel about it? How'd you feel?
I liked it, bro.
Oh, he already gave his take. So, any criticisms? What are your criticisms for this movie?
Some of my criticisms were
go for it.
Some of my criticisms were, I was a little mixed on sort of the reality shifts and what was real and what wasn't real. I guess it's an artistic take, right? Like you decided that you don't want people to know what's real and what's not, but it would happen in these sort of weird ways. The way it would transition, you almost had no idea what was going on. It was like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, well, that didn't happen. It was just, I thought that was weird. It wasn't bad, but I thought it was a little strange. Another thing that I thought was weird was his use of sort of the city of Gotham City being like a downtrodden area, and him living in a, I guess, majority black neighborhood. And all the sort of black women that he interacted with. And I thought that was a little strange how they were almost like figures in his life that showed like almost, they're like a barrier or something, right? It was like the woman on the bus, the way that she talked to him about not talking to his son. Then you had the scene with the social worker where she's like, telling him about, the medication, we're going to stop giving you medication because you no longer can afford it or whatever. They were shutting the program down, and then Sophie, who was the love interest, who apparently wasn't actually really a love interest because it was all in his head. So
that was a little strange. I will say that, not to cut him, but that was like, I was like, there's some you go and like this weird skinny emaciated white dude just knocking down this
Yeah.
beautiful.
You mean you're
Nubian
saying
queen.
Yeah.
you're saying
Yeah.
strange in the sense that like as it was happening, as you thought they were forming a relationship, you weren't buying it. Is that what you mean? By
It was,
strange?
it was. I was like, oh, this doesn't seem plausible.
Yeah, same deal. I was
Yeah,
like,
like,
yeah,
women don't
oh
work.
man.
Oh,
so
whoa, I'm about
for
to-
a while, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to suspend my belief a little bit here. But then I did start to think, well, wait, is this real? So and then they revealed it. So to your point, what I want to say, Winston, is the sense of what was real, what was not, and I definitely want they include this, or it has become a part of how we interpret the ending. It seems to me like they made you sure when something was not real. Does that make sense? So like
Yeah.
they revealed. They have the scene where he imagines that he's on the talk show with Robert De Niro's character. The name escapes me of the character. And then they have the Zazie Beetz love interest reveal at the end. I mean, not the end, towards like the latter third.
Yeah.
And so those are two things where they show you that this is not real. So it would. So this influences my thoughts on it and my interpretation of the ending, which we'll get to a bit later.
Okay.
Criticisms for me, I would say, and I don't know if it's necessarily a fair one, but I wanted to see the mad genius Joker, and we didn't get a lot of that. We started to see maybe he was or there was this implication that he's transitioning to be that, but we didn't get that sense of like. We've seen other Joker representations in the past, like Heath Ledger's, for example, where it's like this is a man who understands his philosophy and his view of the world is set, and that's informing the decisions he's making, and the decisions he's making are actually quite deliberate and organized, despite his obvious mental illness. So I wanted to see more of that. Obviously, like the baptism by blood is such an amazing shot, an amazing moment, and you can see that I guess he's going towards that. But I want to see what this Joker has in store once he's established after the fact. So that's my criticism in that regard. Other than that, it's hard for me to criticize a lot in this film. Okay. I loved the twists. We'll talk about our favorite scenes. But any criticisms you got, Yemi?
I don't have any criticisms. I liked it. It was a
perfect.
It was a
perfect.
It was a perfect. It was a perfect film. This thing is not working. I'm about to give up. It was a perfect. I thought it was a very powerful film. I do not agree with how they want you to, where they were pulling at the heartstrings, where you know we should be feeling for him, because I do feel like somewhat it can give people who are on the spectrum. Or have mental illnesses or are prone to hurt themselves or others, like the idea, like, yeah, I'm like the Joker. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like a hair-bringer of this. I mean, look at the controversy, people calling in, or I think you told me like someone called in like a death threat.
Someone called in a threat at a theater in California, and they evacuated the whole theater. There was also an incident here in New York, which was actually... It was publicized, but it was kind of strange. So apparently a guy went to go see the Joker at a movie theater in Times Square, and supposedly he was drunk. He put a whole bottle of liquor in his cup, and he got to a point in the movie where he started like clapping really loudly and getting really aggressive. So people got really upset and scared, so they got security and took him out.
You can't act weird in a movie like that and have people be like, no.
Yeah, so there's been little incidents here and there.
Nothing major,
but
though.
nothing major happened. You know, as far as I know, no one got hurt. But there was a big concern for that because of the Aurora shooting.
Yeah, for real. And that's a perfect segue, I think, for getting into the larger discussion that this is generated. Really polarizing opinions on this film.
Yeah.
And especially, there's a part of this discussion is the extent to which this film can be dangerous. And I guess that's the idea, is that this has the capacity to incite violence, especially within the mentally ill. Will this inspire people who identify with his characters in such a way to commit acts of violence? I think also people feel uncomfortable with empathizing, or feeling empathy for someone such a cold-blooded killer, and so we've gotten a lot of different opinions on this, and a lot of celebrities have weighed in, and I'd like to discuss the opinion of one Josh Brolin, aka Thanos. Thanos had some thoughts about this that I'd like to share with you, and just as I was reading it, I started to read it, and I'm like, what? How would this sound if Thanos would say it? So we're gonna debut this. I'm gonna be reading this off as Thanos, and we're gonna call this a new segment, Thanos' Thoughts. All right, let me just.
Are you ready, sir?
All right. Pull up the quote.
What's happening right now?
Hey, man.
There's dead space. I don't like this.
It's all right.
I don't like silence.
I feel uncomfortable. Here we go.
Ready?
To appreciate Joker, I believe you have to have either gone through something traumatic in your lifetime, and I believe most of us have, or understand somewhere in your psyche what true compassion is, which usually comes from having gone through something traumatic, unfortunately. An example of dangerous compassion would be to, say, make a film about the fragility of the human psyche and make it so raw, so brutal, so balletic that by the time you leave the theater, not only do you not want to hurt anything, but you desperately want an answer and a solution to the violence and the mental health issues that have spun out of control around us. This film makes you hurt, and only in pain do we ever want to change. It's all in the irony of trauma, a fine line between the resentment of wanting to hurt society back for raping you of a decent life, for not protecting you, and accepting what feels like alien feelings with softening to those others who seem freakish in our era of judgment and digital damnation. Like kids in middle school, man, they can just be mean for no reason. And sometimes those awful little cliquey kids breed an evil in someone that rages much later, when everyone pretends we're all back to normal, when we all thought it had just manned up and gone away. We have a habit of hating and ostracizing and dividing and sweeping our problems under the rug. Joker is simply lifting the rug and looking underneath it. Nothing more, nothing less. It's there. So that's what Thanos thought.
Nice, man.
Wow, that was
That's a pretty good Thanos.
yeah. That was just
The purple dude.
That's a long quote.
Stuttered for one moment there, but you know, hey.
That was a long quote as well.
But he's saying, he's speaking truth. Thanos speaks facts, man. So what do we think he's saying there?
I mean, I think he's saying that you should take this movie as for what it is and not try to read too much into it, but at the same time not taking it serious. Don't take it seriously, but just see it for what it is, if that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah, because continue.
I feel like maybe, on the one hand, I don't know that you necessarily have to experience trauma to empathize, but I do think that you might understand better if you've experienced trauma. And I think some of the best therapists and the more empathetic people tend to have experienced trauma and are more predisposed to empathize with others. But I think what he's saying is that we can be comfortable with accepting this movie for what it is. And it's taking a look at this. And this is a real issue. And it really is a reflection of, even though it takes place in the 80s and is a representation and a reflection of 1980s New York, it's also a reflection of today's world. And obviously, our country is experiencing struggles with regard to mental health, right?
Totally.
But more importantly, I think what... Oh.
So I think it's just basically, you can understand where this comes from without condoning the behavior. Just because we empathize to this character's experience and how someone can get to this point doesn't mean that we condone that sort of behavior. You know what I'm saying? And I think it makes me think about Mindhunter and the main character in that, Holden. And part of why the main character has a panic attack is when he starts to empathize with the serial killers, because he's understanding a bit more where it's coming from. So that makes us uncomfortable. And I think that's what makes a lot of people uncomfortable is starting to feel that empathy and understanding of, oh man, the Joker, I can see where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Well, nobody wants to humanize someone, right? That's a serial killer, a mass murderer, right? We don't want to see them in the news or in society as a person. That person doesn't have a history. They're a piece of shit. They're a piece of garbage. They're evil. It's easy to demonize someone because then you don't have to think about it. There's no responsibility. But I beg the question, what responsibility does society have to these people or for these people? Is society to blame that the people that fall through the cracks? That was a huge issue.
I think so.
He was on medication, and then they cut the funding. And then he's left to his own devices. Not saying, at all like what he did was right. But there is a responsibility society has for criminality and creating criminals. I mean, and that's the murky kind of gray thing that I like that this question poses, that this film poses to the audience. Like, okay, you see this man, he's trying to function, right? He's trying to have some sense of normalcy.
And boy, does he have a hard time functioning.
Yeah. It's functional up until he doesn't have his medication and he starts to kind of spin out of control.
Yeah.
And one thing I really enjoyed about the film, besides the acting and just the score, and was the Joker part of it, because he did have a dream, and this is why I want to see it again. The comedy is tragedy. Like, to become a comedian is so fucking tragic, and the fact that
in what sense do you mean, before you make your point? Like, tragic in what sense?
It's lonely. And it's a bunch of despair, and it's a bunch of defeat. Becoming a successful comedian is becoming the greatest failure.
Yeah, and you have those moments, like the moment that was clipped that ended up on the show. That's every fucking comic's worst nightmare. And then going up for an open mic, because you know that it's an inevitability that you're going to suck for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And he didn't. And I think to piggyback off of you, that point where he was at the open mic, he was happy. Like, he wasn't.
And his perception was.
Well, in his perception, he was happy, but he was eating shit. He died on stage. But he was just happy to get through his affliction. And then once he started, because he couldn't really talk at the beginning, he kept laughing or whatever. And then he got through his set. And that was clipped on the whatever. On whatever the name of that show. Yeah. Their Tonight Show with Robert De Niro.
Yes.
And that's totally understandable. Even for the non-delusional, is that you kind of have to delude yourself as a comic in order to make those micro goals. Of like, I'm just gonna get up and
eat shit
just so I'm on stage, and then
eat shit for
and then
a
you
long
can come
time.
away from that and just be like, hey, you find a way to be happy about it. Like, I've made the analogy that it's kind of like trying to housebreak a dog. Like, you're just happy when that dog shits on some newspaper as opposed to your fucking brand new carpet. Like, that's a win.
Yeah, that's
like,
a win.
Hey, I just shat on some newspaper today.
And I love that was his. I just love, just as a comedian, like, I can relate so much to that moment when he saw himself, like, oh my gosh, but it was like a goof.
Yeah.
And then, like, that was his enticing incident in the film.
Inciting,
excuse me.
Yeah.
Incident in the film. And just, he was like the guy. What was the guy's name? Robert De Niro's character?
I will tell you.
It was like
one.
Johnny.
It's like Harry.
His name is Murray Franklin.
Murray Franklin.
And like, that was his idol. Like, he was looking. He was looking up to him and everything.
He wanted
like
him
that.
to regard him as his
son. Yeah, he had a flashback where he was watching. He was like, "Oh, you're such a good boy," or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And then he just realized he's just like everyone. He's just a meanie, just like everyone else. And that's show business, dude. Don't meet your heroes, man. It'll be a frank and like an utter just like.
Or it can be. Yeah.
I mean, I've met a couple people, like comics, that like, oh, that guy's cool, and also like, no, that guy's not cool.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, oh, this person's. But people are people, But since they're lauded in society or in media as like, oh, look at Bill Cosby, for instance. Everyone thought he was.
That's a pretty good example.
That's a huge, like, he was America's dad.
Yeah.
Like, he was Mr. Huxtable, Puddin' Pops.
Nope.
Meanwhile, he's drugging bitches Monday through Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like, giving everybody like
rapist,
serial rapist.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right. And look at who else? Like Kevin Hart. He cheated on his wife. Like, he's like, I never.
Or even like your your Martin Luther King's,
everyone is human. That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone is human. But when you're lauded not to be, and when your perception is so strong in like in the zeitgeist of like social media and everything, especially nowadays. If you do something wrong, then you're a piece of shit. You're canceled. But it's like, no, everyone's a piece of shit. But the fact that it's like you're leaning into like, I'm a good guy. It's like, all right, well, you're gonna fall. You're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, it's inevitable that you're gonna fall.
For real.
So,
hey, let's move on. I want to ask favorite scenes, big moments. What are the big moments for you?
Oh, subway scene.
That subway scene was
Kings of New York subway scene.
Oh yeah.
Subway scene, because I knew something was gonna happen. That tension that they held
with the sending the clowns.
Okay.
No, not that
You're
subway
talking
scene.
about the
which
subway
subway
scene?
I'm talking about with the 3 Wall Street dudes.
Oh yeah. I'm talking about that. Yeah. He starts
I thought
one of
you
the
meant
Wall
sending
Street.
I thought you meant sending
One of the
clowns
Wall
to-
Street dudes when he starts singing, sending the clowns. to him.
right,
It's part of
right.
that scene. Yeah.
And this is why I thought that, like, because after like the aftermath of that, like people were like, why do we give a shit about it? I felt like that rang so true about Occupy Wall Street. Like those were like, you know,
They're the symbol of
like
bro-y
of Gotham, like
guys.
bro-y,
Yeah.
a Wall Street fucking douchebag.
They're harassing a woman on
like
the subway.
you know, freaking super aggressive, like, you know, rapist dudes. You know,
emblematic of
that will
of
roof the
lack
chick.
of connection to
Exactly.
people below them.
Sociopaths, yeah, because you know they don't see people
Yeah.
as things. They see people as things. They don't see people as like actual humans. And that scene, I was just like, something's gonna happen. And it wasn't. And he was kind of an anti-hero in that scene because he was like,
Well, he goes over the line.
Well, obviously, but like he's because of his affliction, he's trying to like interact, but he just starts laughing. And I started laughing at this scene because I mean it was just so weird. But I'm also freaking broken. But he tried to like say something, but he just started like with the. And
Well,
he's
no,
like,
yeah, there's different. Yeah, he had his
his affliction laugh. Like
affliction. I think he was like nervous to see what was going on. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Him like.
when he gets nervous or
Yeah.
sad, like he on his card it said what it was.
But they weren't interested in looking at that card. But he definitely
weren't.
steps over the
That
line
scene,
where
yeah.
he's he's chasing the dude
first,
down.
First is self-defense.
And then it's not.
Well, even I mean it was self-defense because
It's not self-defense when someone's getting off the train running away from you.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't seen it or have seen it,
You shouldn't be listening.
Yeah, don't listen. But like that scene was so because that's when he became the Joker, and like that was the first.
Yeah,
time
and he
where
comes in, and that's his comfort. That's him getting his
He's
comfort
like-
where he goes
he
and he starts
releases something.
dancing.
He releases something
Yes.
after that scene.
He
Yeah.
goes
He's like-
into
he's like I have no,
subway bath. No, it's a subway or a park bath. No, it's a park bathroom.
Yeah.
And he does like this weird dance this weird sort of choreographed like dance where he's just going there, and the music with that and the lighting was so like mesmerizing. It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Your favorite scene?
My favorite scene was actually the other subway scene when
With the clowns?
with the 2 detectives. Right. So the 2
that was
detectives
a
are
dope scene,
chasing
too.
him, and they have all the people that are going to this protest wearing these clown masks, and so
very V for Vendetta.
Yes, and so they run in, and you know, unfortunately, the detectives were killed. But then, you know,
But how they were killed was interesting.
yeah, it was
Very
really
mob.
interesting. Yeah, very much a mob. And so, I guess
Because I think he shot. The cop shot someone.
I think the cop.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
The
he
cop
shot
shot
someone.
someone.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
that's
right.
what incited. I can't.
Entice. Entice is like, hey, that coffee looks good.
You enticing me, girl.
That's your English lesson for the day.
inciting.
Inciting, like to incite
I'm
violence.
saying enticing.
Yeah, enticing is like, yeah, that looks good. I want it.
I want you, girl. You're
Yeah.
enticing. No, inciting incident. Sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
But I
English
liked-
is a third language for me.
I don't speak no good. I'm sorry for that.
But I liked how he got.
Sorry. Such a good laugh.
It's so good. But yeah, like after that happened and he escaped and he was walking and had that little bit of a Joker swagger as he was leaving the station. That's when you could tell that he
Pulling
was
down the mask.
Yeah, pulling down the mask. That's when stuff really started to go down. And you know, then after that is when he went to the Murray Franklin show, I believe.
Yep.
And then that's, you know, we go into another crazy scene. But Danny, what was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene is probably when he's putting on the makeup in his apartment and his buddy who gave him the gun and basically led to him losing his job comes in.
Well, he
He's
set him up, too.
I'm celebrating. My mom's dead. I'm celebrating. And then he
That's
gives him
so
the
freaky.
scissors. And then
Yeah,
of
that
course-
was the creepiest line.
Oh,
I'm
man.
celebrating my
So
mom's
creepy.
dead.
And then
Like, that's the scene you missed.
No, well, I missed I have the bladder of a 5-year-old, so I had to run out. I had that big soda, and I ran, and then I missed him when he killed his mother.
That was like,
Yeah.
But I know that's a big scene, and then you tell me what happens. So,
Yeah.
whatever.
Just took the pillow
but
and-
not only that, but the lock with his little person, or I don't know the PC term.
I think it's little
person, or the person who experienced dwarfism. where he had the lock and he was like reaching.
That was funny.
You didn't know if he was gonna let him go,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, he's gonna let him go, and like, oh fuck, the lock. Did he do this on purpose to like set him up? And then he unlocks it, and then he closes the door again. I was like, oh,
You've always
fuck.
been good to me.
And then he kisses him on the forehead. Jesus Christ, that was amazing.
That was a
crazy-
that
So-
was like probably the most gruesome.
Yeah.
That was the most gruesome scene.
Yeah,
with
the
this
way
scene.
that he killed him with was it a pair of scissors?
Scissors, yeah.
And he just went right to the
and then he started like
throat.
bashing his head
Ooh,
against.
yeah,
like,
It was oh boy.
That was gruesome.
Couple
Yeah.
more
Even-
things we want to get to here. So
Also,
I
they,
want to
they
ask.
give. Oh, sorry.
What are your thoughts on the big twist, the connection to the Batman lore and his origin story? So not only is it a Joker origin story, it's a Batman origin story because his actions lead to the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne and the birth
That's right.
of Batman.
I didn't realize that Batman. Well, obviously he's like a multi-billionaire, but like the fact that he was like not Mr. Wayne, Father Wayne. What's his name?
Thomas
Wayne was kind of like the mayor or running for mayor. He was kind of like
He's a man of influence.
Yeah, man of
Yeah.
influence and like super powerful and like kind of hated, because he didn't. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but this came to my
No, go for
mind. He kind of almost gave me a bit of Donald Trump vibes,
Yeah, a little bit.
a little bit. And I
Right,
thought that was
like they
interesting.
like he doesn't really relate to the common folk. He's like this is a dirty city, blah 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 blah.
But he's not as crass, I guess.
No.
He's not as crass.
but
He's a little bit more
yeah,
sophisticated.
he's definitely
Yeah.
emblematic
but definitely
of that like
air.
yeah.
Oh, and that scene in
The
the bathroom
1%.
with him between
Yeah.
him and Arthur was also like a weird freaking scene.
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
how can you say that to me?" And like it was, dude, go see this, dudettes, brages, go see this film, man. It speaks to what's going on now with mass shootings, like homegrown terrorism and mental health issues,
real.
and not so much gun violence, but because it's not about like people ain't popping off like
Yeah.
that. He does have a gun in one
There's
of the
there's
scenes.
a few isolated scenes of violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just and yeah, it's just so
Yeah.
good. It's just so
And
good. Sorry, what was the question?
lastly, what we thought of the origin story. Actually, I
Oh,
wanted to
yeah,
say that
I
it was
mean-
a real fresh take on Batman's origin story.
Yeah.
As many times as we've seen this represented in the countless movies that
Yeah.
Batman's had, and also
What he said, you get
in-
what you deserve.
and get what you
Yeah,
deserve.
'cause that's
he
what the
used,
Joker
he used
said.
his line.
Yeah,
he used
yeah,
that
you
line.
Get what
Yeah.
you deserve.
So I loved that fresh take on it.
I thought that was a cool ass nod. Like,
I actually want to say that one scene where Arthur went to Wayne Manor and he was talking to young
Lil
Bruce Wayne.
I was like, how old is
Oh,
the Joker?
yeah.
Like compared to Bruce Wayne?
That's what I was gonna say. Is
Yeah.
Is he that much older than him?
not necessarily,
That's a-
but I mean, yeah.
Like maybe
Well, there's
20,
We'll say that
15?
that Batman
Yeah.
comes in, he's around 20.
Yeah.
It definitely flips some of the things on some of the lore on its head in the sense that Joker will have existed before Batman comes in, and one of the themes they've had in the comic books is like, hey, I exist because of you, kind of a thing. So that dynamic is gone.
No, but it doesn't. Well, yeah, it's still they both exist because of each other.
well, yeah, I guess that can
because of Father Wayne. What's his name?
Thomas.
Thomas Wayne. Ish. You know, it's kind of the same semantics, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just thought that was a really interesting scene. It was really creepy. Actually, he was like,
That was very pedophile.
yeah. He showed him like a magic trick, and then he kind of was like touching his face.
So he put his fingers in
Alfred
his mouth.
was
That's right,
not cool with that.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
really interesting.
And I felt like that was a weird scene. Like Alfred should have been way more like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like he was just like, "What has happened?" Like,
Right.
like
No, he was prickly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
all
he
right.
choked him, right?
He
He choked him through the gate.
Oh well,
When he
yeah.
started
Joker
talking about
said,
it,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
right,
yeah,
that's
and
right,
then he
yeah.
let him go.
Yeah.
He got
I
some
was like,
grip
can't
strength,
kill
man.
him. Yeah.
Because he also took his mother's documents from.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
He got some grip
Another
strength.
great scene.
Shout out to Brian Tyree
So-
Henry for that.
Yeah.
Last couple of things that we want to get to before we run out of time. The big twist at the
Damn.
end, the
quick
question
hour.
over whether or not everything that took place actually took place. Do you believe that what the film portrays actually happened? Do you think it didn't?
I gotta see it again.
Okay.
I think it because the way they ended it. Spoiler alert.
No, well, you no longer need to say that.
It cuts to him in the mental institute.
Institute.
Jesus, institute.
Get your words out.
you got it. You got
Use
it.
your words. Use your words. And then he's laughing like like it's a great bookend, like a callback.
Yeah.
To the end, and he's talking to another black social worker, and she's like, "What's so funny?"
Wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it.
Hence the beginning of the show.
And I think they should have cut it there. I think that would have been up.
But I love him running out and running around because then it becomes like, hey, he's a Joker, and he is going to be someone that creates this catch me if you can. He's a catch me if you can character, man.
And you see the blood that's
the blood
on
prints.
his yeah, right.
I just didn't like the fact that he killed a black, or suggested you killed a black woman. So
or whatever.
But I don't know, and I think it's kind of the whole thing about we were talking about Undone, where it's like. I thought like
it's another situation where you have to interpret
what's
the
real. You interpret it. Was it real to you? Then if it was real to you, it was real to you. But
it was real to me because I feel like they showed, like I said earlier, they showed us when they showed us the times that he was misinterpreting his reality. They showed us that. Like they revealed it. So that's the pattern and the precedent they set. So I don't see why they would deviate from that pattern.
True. They already set up a world
I also
where
feel
this
like
is true,
why
else
would
is
he
true.
why would he in his own narration of his story, why would he, in telling that story, why would he have those moments where he misinterpreted reality? Like, I'm telling a story and it's like, and then I thought that Zazie Beetz was my girlfriend, but she actually wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I'm all down. There's that famous Joker quote, like, if I'm gonna have a history, I'll have it be multiple choice or something to that extent. It's all that's been one of the great things about Joker is that they've never been forthcoming with his origin story. That was something that was in Dark Knight, where he kept on telling a different version of how he got those scars.
Yeah.
So
keep you guessing.
I like the fact that it's having us guessing a bit. But for me, I have to believe that what happened in the movie actually happened. Winston,
so?
What do you think?
Yeah.
There's a part of me that believes that in him talking to the psychiatrist at the very end of the movie, my guess is he's talking to her and giving her his take of what happened that got him into the mental institution. So I feel like there's bits of truth, but I think it's a lot of what he would have wanted to happen. Because I'm thinking like this. I think maybe what happened was he just, he went to a mental institution and we don't exactly know what happened when he got there, but he just says this like crazy story and this woman just like listens and takes it in, and then he like, I guess presumably maybe kills her and then runs around. So my guess is like this was all in his head, partially concocted, partially not concocted, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see it again too. I really want to see it again.
It's a movie. You
got to watch it
you
at
can
least.
get
I would
multiple
say
views
twice.
in.
Yeah.
And so I guess the last thing I want to talk about with regard to this movie is Joker's and Joaquins' performance and where it ranks in Joker performances, because we have some very, very recognizable, and I'm going to leave out Jared Leto here. So I'm going to ask who your favorite is.
Yeah.
We're going to leave out Jared Leto because we all know he was the best, so it's not fair. No, kidding. He was fucking awful. So, no.
Poo-poo.
We're doing this again.
Trash.
Okay.
Basura.
Basura.
Soul. All right.
bad.
So for me, who's in there? We've got
Jingle sucio.
Jesus Christ. Oh boy. Potty humor. So in the ranks, I'd have Mark Hamill for his vocal or VO rendition throughout the Batman animated series, and also I'd throw in the Arkham series for the video games. Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, and who am I missing? And of course, Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
Not the '60s dude.
Do you?
Who's
your favorite?
Oh no, sorry.
Not the Joker from Adam West.
Yeah, from that.
Interesting.
What's your pick?
I still got Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, kind of.
Why?
Yes, he was a nihilist and also was funny. There was funny scenes, man.
Yeah, that's something I thought that this Joker was lacking, was like actually being funny.
Like there were funny scenes in The Dark Knight, man, but they were dark. They were dark, funny jokes.
Great with the nurse outfit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was a nihilistic, just dark Joker, and just I think it's classic. Then I would have to say I didn't really like Jack Nicholson, but I saw when I was a kid. The Tim Burton's rendition of Batman.
That was not visceral enough for me.
Yeah, it was like
it's not real enough for me.
But he was a good Joker. Don't get me wrong. He kind of had the more of the campy Joker vibe.
He had a good laugh.
Yeah. I thought he was solid. He was solid.
So I would say probably Heath. Oh man.
Yeah, we're in lockstep here. I would go with Heath as well.
Joaquin. And
Yeah,
then, like,
definitely
Nicholson.
Heath.
I would put Hamill second, man.
Really?
The voice as a voice of the Joker. When I think of the Joker, I think of Mark Hamill. Especially when we got to those video games, the Arkham series, you really got to see like more mature themes and really get a bit darker. But yeah, Heath Ledger gets the nod for me. Just his body language, his use of the voice, that idea, like I said, like this is the mad genius who's set in his philosophy.
When he's talking to the goons and they try to, and he's like,
yeah,
like he has this whole bunch of grenades. Like like he's insane. It's like
he's insane, but he's got his bases
calculated.
covered.
Yeah, he's like, don't fuck with me, I will blow everybody.
And he's
myself.
aware. He's aware of like what he is. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm that dog that doesn't know what to do when he catches the car or whatever. Yeah. And then for me, what's the other aspect that I love about him? There was something else that I wanted to say. Oh, his like denial of being insane. Like that one moment where they're like, "You're crazy." He's like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And he's like that. Yeah. That's shit that triggers him. He's like, "Don't fucking call me insane." Yeah. So I loved that aspect of him. Yeah. But then Mark Hamill gets second for me.
All right.
Okay.
Second, I'd probably just go with Joaquin, just because it was such an interesting take, and the way that he prepared for this role and the way that he executed it. I thought it was very, very good. I thought it was definitely Oscar worthy as far as it having a nomination.
Yeah, good luck to the competitors. You're not. Yeah, this is a best.
Gonna be
this
tough
is a best actor
because we know
man.
Heath Ledger won an Oscar for his role.
Supporting
after he had passed
posthumously.
away. Yeah. So yeah, those are my top two.
Yeah, man, this is a great film, dude.
Really, really good. Yeah. Really, really, really good.
I mean, just if you're an actor or like an acting buff, or you want to see a good someone act, like that, you should go see this.
Those
film.
are some of the. Did Jack Nicholson? He won Best Actor, or did he win Supporting? He was definitely up for an Oscar.
I think he was
sure.
up. I don't know if he won.
We gotta check that. But like basically, if you get a Joker role, watch out for your own health, as we learned.
Yeah. There's something with that.
But
role,
also
man.
like that, if you do it right.
Yeah.
And you're not Jared Leto. Get ready for some awards, man, and some recognition.
Yeah.
I also want.
Yeah.
No, I was to say, I also want to put this out there. Go see this movie. Also, if you haven't seen Taxi Driver or King of Comedy, watch those, because
I gotta see those,
I think it will help put some of the pieces together of the world that this movie was put into. So I just want to put that out there for people who may not have seen those films.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. And then
it could change your opinion of the show as well. Just of the movie, because I know some people were like, oh, it kind of rested on the inspiration of those films a bit too much.
There was a lot of Taxi Driver and the vibe of the movie, very much so.
Okay.
Which
very strong vibes.
Very strong vibes.
Got them vibes.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna leave it there. That's it for our Joker discussion. I can't believe it.
That's it. I know. Time flew by.
Hey man, but that's just the start of the discussion, I'm sure.
Are we done?
We got. Ooh.
Okay.
So we got 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, we got 10 minutes.
Hey, all right. Anything else that we want to talk about for Joker before?
Let's see.
End this one early.
Dead space, filling up some dead space, filling up some dead space, some dead space.
What are we watching next week? Honorable mentions. We can give people some. Also join the conversation. We really want to start talking to our public and to people who listen to the podcast that really F with us. So hit us up at Binge Society Podcast at Gmail, or at our Instagram of Binge Society, or Twitter at Binge Society Podcast.
Yeah, and you'll be finding this video. We're going to start to post our videos on YouTube. We're still trying to catch up with some of the older episodes, but you can find this episode on YouTube within the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So join the discussion there. Get in the comments, and you can see us with our masks on and mask off, like Future.
Exactly.
And get in the comments, man, and get to liking, sharing, and subscribing.
Mess with us, man.
But we really want this is the start of the discussion, and this is a very discussion-generating movie, so engage us. Yeah. Engage us, man.
So let's, how about we do our weekly resolutions like we do every week? Let's do it.
Well, should we tell people what we're listening to? What's we should tell people what's happening next week.
So what do we have coming up for the next couple of episodes? All
right, so the next episode, of course, is going to be El Camino.
El Caminito.
Breaking Bad.
So I'm super, of course, amped, and I'm very curious. They just had the Hollywood premiere a couple days ago, and I haven't heard any reactions. I'm trying to stay away. I don't want to know anything. I want to go into this
like a newborn babe.
Exactly.
Amniotic fluid.
Wait, weren't you binging?
Yeah, so I'm
Old
still
episodes?
working. I'm still working.
You're still working.
I am on season 5 though. I'm
Damn,
on season
all right.
5,
All right.
which is it was hard.
Jeez.
It was hard, but like I would put it on.
That's
just like,
a hard thing to
You binge.
It is.
Yeah. You binge.
I'm
Breaking Bad is
yeah,
a
you binge.
hard.
I'm really
like,
binging.
That when I watched the show, it's so tense. Like each and every scene, I was like,
it's emotionally
ah.
taxing.
Yeah.
So I'm super amped for that. So that'll be so that's part of my weekly resolution is finishing my binge. Of course, getting ready for that. So, hopefully y'all will watch the movie so you can listen to the show next week and, get filled in on all the happenings.
Yeah, all the happenings, all the goings on, all the doings, and the transpirings. Also, we are going to be doing an episode on Big Mouth, the animated series.
Yes,
With-
yes.
With Nick
Frankie-
Kroll and Frank Mulaney. And
You mean John
I mean John Mulaney. Oh man, you said
No, I was gonna say with the guest. With the
Yeah, we're going to have a
guest.
special guest.
yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know why. Oh yeah, that's why Frank got into my head. Also,
Fantastic.
With
Frankie will be joining
fantastic
us.
Frankie.
Yes,
she's super dope.
We're going to be having our second guest. Should be very, very interesting. Very brave of her to come and talk to us about
do
a
you mean
show
brave?
having to
We're-
deal with like masturbation and puberty and shit.
Oh, it's definitely a loop around child porn. I don't care what anybody says.
It pretty much is.
Yeah, like
and there's some new stuff in the 3rd season.
I haven't seen. I'm watching season 2. I'm like, this is child pornography.
Well, they could not do. Well, we'll save that discussion for that episode, so you can look out for that. Anything
And what else we got in the pipeline? We're gonna have some special.
Oh, we got a
Halloween
special
thing.
Halloween episode coming. So
Yeah.
there's a couple things in the works. We
Stay
have a couple
tuned.
of ideas.
Let's-
We're gonna binge a horror movie, one of these new horror films that are
Yeah.
out on Netflix, most likely.
Film? Can we do a series? We did 2 films already. Can we do
Well,
a series?
it's gonna be hard because life and shit.
Yeah, we got a lot to watch.
Got a lot to watch. But
Okay.
All right, so what do we got going on with our resolutions? What are we binging? What are we watching? What do we want to achieve this week? Yummy.
Oh, with me? I'm still watching.
Raichi?
Raichi?
Righteous Gemstones?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, that, and I'm still binging on what's the name of this thing? Workaholics. I'm on season
yes.
4 right now, and I'm watching The Abstract on Netflix. You guys seen that? Like The Abstract?
No.
No, I haven't seen it.
It's about like design and stuff like that, so it's pretty cool. You should check it out. So that's what I'm binging. Oh, in season 3, Apex Legends. That shit is
Ooh, yeah.
Straight
really
fire?
Good. Yeah.
All right. What am I? Right now, I'm binging some MK11. They just recently came out with a balance patch and added a 3rd variation. One of the great things about this fighting game is that each character has 3 different variations, or previously they had 2 variations where they had some different moves that are unique to that variation. They just added a 3rd one for the competitive scene, and they buffed or made my favorite character stronger in Kotal Khan. So I've been learning some tricks and trades with him, because it's one of the worst things is to really like a character and identify with a character, but it just be so bad and not competitive. You're just like, why am I even trying? So he's good now, and I'm getting good with him.
You should check out this YouTube. This guy gives a dissertation, pretty much. Daigo. He talks about like the state of video games. Is very, very good.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
talks
he's
about-
a fighting game guru from back
he's
in the
like
day.
yeah, and he talks about just sorry to like nerd out.
That's what this
But
is for.
He talks about the decisions he used to make when he started playing video games and the decisions he's making now, and it's like totally different and based on not like the game at all.
Nice.
And it's really good. So
Interesting.
and it's about just like patching and all this shit and like updates.
Oh,
and stuff
yeah,
like that.
and the
how that
culture
how that
of,
changes
yeah.
like video games.
All
Sorry.
right.
Sorry.
Hey, so
Sorry.
that's what I got going on, and as always, I'm on that grind, trying to get out of being Arthur Fleck level stand-up comedian, trying to break out of that.
But
tier
you gotta
of
go
comedy.
through
Yeah,
that, man.
That's what it is.
There's no comedian that you'll meet that's gonna be like, with the exception of Eddie Murphy. People say he was kind of like a virtuoso, which he is. But everyone eats it, dude. It's a
Everybody hurts.
it puts that chip on your shoulder,
Yeah.
and you're like, I did my dog days, and you never know when you're gonna eat it again. And that's the thing I love about stand-up. Be like, yo, it can be you, or you can kill, or you could die.
Yeah.
Kill or be killed, man.
So it's
That's
just
it.
like, anyway.
Oh,
Winston?
Yeah, for me, I just wanted to say that I started watching Mr. Robot season 4.
Oh, yeah.
So I just
I'm
dropped-
trying to catch up. I'm on season
Yeah,
2
man.
still.
Yeah, let me tell you, I won't give any spoilers. But
Don't do it.
First,
No.
The first episode of season 4 is fucking crazy.
Yes.
And that's all I'm going to say.
Good.
That's all I'm going to say. But yes, so that's part of my resolution is to watch episode number 2, which will be dropping on Sunday, I believe. And of course, finishing my Breaking Bad bitch. Breaking Bad bitch.
Oh,
Breaking Bad.
I was thinking of Aaron Paul right there.
It's my Breaking Bad, bitch.
My Breaking Bad binge, and in time for our El
Freudian slip.
Camino watch.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Also, I've been like binging new Walking Dead season or old Walking Dead.
Oh boy,
season.
from last year.
Really?
I guess it's from last year.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never been able to get into Walking Dead for some reason.
It's kind of jumped the shark, but I
It
wanna
is
see
jumped quite a few sharks.
Yeah, it jumped a couple sharks.
And now there's just another spin-off coming
Oh my
of
god.
Walking Dead. that is
Jesus.
supposed to be, yeah. So.
Enough already. Stop it. Cut that out.
All right, guys.
All right, so I think
That's
that's a good
it.
place to leave it. That does it for our Joker episode.
Check out also The Killing Joke.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good. Well, it's really yeah.
I'd also say Dark Knight Returns.
Dark
That's
Knight
a book
Returns.
where there's a nod to that graphic novel in the movie. Yeah, some really good reading from the Batman verse. So yeah, you can find us on Instagram, Binge Society, or Twitter, Binge Society Podcast. You can find me at I_am_Dantastico on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, Laces Out Dan 485.
You can find me, Winston Brewington, on Instagram at Radio Win. So hit me in the DMs. Let me know what y'all think.
You can find me at Yummy Comedy, and also join the discussion. Hit us up. Topics you want us to talk about, topics you didn't like, topics you did like. Tell us what we want feedback.
Yeah,
so,
we loved the movie. Maybe
Yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't. There are
Maybe
people
you
who don't
didn't.
like it.
Maybe
who
think
say
we're
it's not
talking out
it's
of our
not a
ass.
Joker movie.
Yeah. So hit me up at Yummy Comedy everywhere. That's me.
All right, so
All right.
for Yemi Afolabi and Winston Brewington, I am Danny Bronner. You guys are fucking fantastic. This has been Binge Society.
Word.
Goodbye. And oh yeah, one more thing. Don't forget to smile. See you around.
Peace.
Peace.